The alien vault loomed before them, its surface shimmering with patterns that hurt to look at directly. Elsa pressed her palm against the cool metal, feeling the familiar tingle of rejection. 3 months of excavation on Kepler 442b, and they were no closer to opening the architect's greatest secret. Still nothing, Oliver asked, checking his scanner for the 100th time that hour. Nothing, Elsa confirmed, stepping back. The crystalline lock pulsed with bioluminescent symbols that seemed to mock their efforts. Every species in the Galactic Coalition had tried. The silicon-based Krath, the hive-minded Velxara, even the ancient Nomseth who claimed lineage from the architects themselves. All had failed. The architects had vanished 10,000 years ago, leaving behind technology that defied understanding. Their vaults dotted dozens of worlds, sealed by locks that scanned genetic material and found every species wanting. The Coalition's xenobiologists had a theory. The architects were searching for something specific, something they called apex potential. Oliver ran his fingers through his hair, leaving traces of red dust from the planet's surface. The Velxara Queen said humans were different, that we had something the others lacked. Adaptability, Elsa recited from memory. Pattern recognition, stubbornness. She smiled despite her frustration. They were being diplomatic about that last one. Or accurate. Oliver knelt beside his equipment pack, pulling out a small med kit. I've been thinking about the Nometh scans. They found something in our DNA. Sequences that don't match anything in the galactic database. Junk DNA, they called it. Junk DNA isn't junk anymore, Elsa said, moving closer. We learned that centuries ago. Exactly. Oliver's eyes gleamed with the same intensity she'd seen when he solved the quantum maze on Proxima Station. What if the architects weren't looking for a specific species? What if they were looking for potential? Raw, unrefined evolutionary flexibility. Elsa's breath caught. Humanity had evolved on a death world, a planet with extreme climate variations, predators at every level of the food chain, and environmental challenges that would have broken most species. Humans weren't the strongest or the fastest. They were survivors. The lock's been testing for perfection, she whispered. But the architects wanted something else. Not perfection, Oliver agreed. Promise. He opened the med kit and removed a sterile lancet. The Nometh said our genetic diversity was chaotic, that we carried markers from diseases we'd survived, adaptations from environments we'd conquered, even viral DNA integrated into our genome from pathogens we'd domesticated. We're walking records of evolution's brutality and triumph. Oliver held up the lancet. Every species the Coalition sent was specialized, optimized for their niche. But humans? We're generalists. We carry the scars and the tools of 1,000,000 small victories. Elsa understood. The other species had evolved stability. Humanity had evolved chaos, controlled chaos that could adapt to anything. They were the universe's gamblers, the species that thrived on uncertainty. You think my blood will be different enough from yours? She asked. I think the lock doesn't want one perfect sample. It wants variation. It wants to see that we're still evolving, still changing. Oliver's hand was steady as he approached her. May I? Elsa extended her hand. The lancet pricked her finger with barely a sting. A single drop of blood welled up, crimson against her pale skin. Oliver collected it carefully on a slide, then mixed it with his own sample from a previous test. The two blood types swirled together, a positive and O negative, different enough to show humanity's diversity, similar enough to prove their kinship. Try now, Oliver said, loading the sample into the scanner attachment they'd rigged to interface with the lock. Elsa pressed the scanner against the vault's surface. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the symbols began to shift, rearranging themselves into patterns that almost made sense. The lock was reading more than just their DNA. It was reading their history. The scars of smallpox written in their genes. The adaptive responses to altitude, to cold, to heat. The genetic echoes of Neanderthal and Denisovan ancestors. The markers of lactose tolerance that spoke of cultural evolution. The resistance to malaria that came at the cost of sickle cell disease. Humanity wasn't a single answer. Humanity was 1,000,000 questions all being asked at once. The vault shuddered. Deep within its mechanisms, something ancient stirred to life. The bioluminescent symbols blazed bright, then resolved into a pattern Elsa recognized. A double helix, but twisted in ways that suggested dimensions beyond the normal 4. It's accepting it, Oliver breathed. The lock disengaged with a sound like a sigh, as if the architects themselves were relieved to finally be understood. The vault door began to open, revealing a chamber filled with soft golden light. Elsa and Oliver stepped forward together, their different shadows merging on the threshold. Inside, they could see data crystals, genetic templates, and technologies that would take decades to understand. But more than that, they saw a message written in mathematical constants that needed no translation. We searched the cosmos for perfection and found only stagnation. Here is our knowledge, given freely to those who prove that evolution never ends. The architects hadn't been looking for their successors. They'd been looking for their opposites. A species still raw enough, still hungry enough, still chaotic enough to take their knowledge and do something unexpected with it. Oliver turned to Elsa, his grin matching her own. The coalition is going to lose their minds. Let them, Elsa replied, stepping into the vault. We've got work to do. Behind them, the door remained open, an invitation, not a test. The architects had locked their greatest treasures behind a door that could only be opened by a species that embodied one simple truth. Perfection was a dead end. But potential was infinite, and humanity, scarred and diverse and impossibly stubborn, had potential to spare.